By the time Barbarossa rolled around, 19-year-old Christen was serving in the 8th Battalion of the SS Division Totenkopf. Having performed under expectations in France, and with beliefs of duty to fatherland in their heads, Totenkopf went into Russia with particular ferocity and notably improved performance, Christen celebrating his 20th birthday in the early days of the invasion. As the German armies tore apart the Red Army to shreds, morale was high. By September, when Totenkopf was near Demyansk, the soldiers were worried more about the cold than the Red Army. They were to face a painful surprise. Christen was with a unit of 50mm packed 38 guns from the 2nd Company of the Divisional 8th Battalion on the morning of September 24, 1941, positioned near the edge of forest north of the village of Lushno. With the dawn, the ominous silhouettes of Soviet tanks appeared on the horizon, ranks of infantry behind. The gunners fought fiercely, disabling several tanks and inflicting significant casualties amongst the attackers, even as the tank guns raked the ground around them. What meager cover and dugouts they had scarcely effective. As men fell around him, Christen fought on, and eventually, having lost several tanks and many men, the Soviets pulled back to regroup. Overcome with momentary relief, Christen called for his comrades. He received no answer. The entire detachment lay dead or dying. The entire position north of Lushno was manned by a single 20-year-old soldier with a single intacted gun, and that one without a working sight, against what was an entire Soviet battalion with tank support. The Soviets returned in the evening. Christen opened fire. He fired with his gun and a collection of small arms gathered from his dead comrades, moving from position to create the illusion of numbers. At night he scavenged for food, water and ammo while skirmishing with Soviet pickets. At day he held off massed attacks with his gun and small arms fire. At one point he partially dismantled his gun, which weighed 830 kilograms, dragged it to a new firing position several meters away, propped it against a log, and kept firing. By the morning of September 27, he was finished. For 3 days he had fought constantly, 2.5 of that all alone against hundreds of enemies. What few moments he had was spent gathering ammo and arranging his position against the next attack. He hadn't slept, had barely eaten and drank. He had been fighting constantly for 3 days, and had exhausted all ammunition, both for the gun and small arms. There he stood, with a pistol, the only weapon left to him, barely able to stand. Wondering, having seen the fate of more than one German prisoner of war, whether he should keep the last bullet for himself. The morning came. There was no attack. By noon soldiers came, dozens of them. German soldiers. Totenkopf soldiers. And they found a half-dead Christen amongst the corpses of his comrades, and before him a field littered by Soviet dead and burnt-out tank husks. One man had repelled the attacks of an entire battalion with tank support for 3 days, without food, water or rest. He was taken from the battlefield by shocked comrades in arms hailing him as a hero, singing SS Marschiert all the way. Theodor Eicke, commander of the Totenkopf division, personally awarded Fritz with the Iron Cross, First Class, and recommended him for Knight's Cross of the Iron Cross. He was shortly after called to Germany, where he was personally presented the Knight's Cross by none other than Adolf Hitler. He was the first enlisted man in Totenkopf to acquire the medal, as well as the youngest Waffen-SS personnel to be awarded it. One man, 3 days, facing a battalion. And he won. That is arguably the single most epic moment of any side in the entire war. I don't care what you think about Christen personally, but if there ever was a story worthy of the big screen, this is it.